We're excited to bring you a new series of hands-on tutorials showcasing what's possible with Langmuir Systems equipment. Today, we're kicking things off with Project Bronco. We recently picked up a 1969 Ford Bronco, affectionately known as Big Blue. Throughout this series, we'll walk you through real-world projects that demonstrates how Langmuir Systems machines can be used to design, fabricate, and build serious automotive components from start to finish. In this episode, we're fabricating chassis and suspension stands for our Bronco. We'll be designing and cutting precision plates that allow us to accurately set wheelbase, toe, and suspension geometry, critical measurements for any series build. The Bronco uses a 5 by 5.5 bolt pattern, and we're designing these stands around the circumference of a 31-inch tire. For this job, the right tool is the Langmuir CrossFire XR. We'll be cutting large components from 7/16" mild steel, and the XR is built to handle work like this with ease. Our system is paired with a Hypertherm PowerMax 45 sink, which delivers clean, consistent cuts and is incredibly user-friendly. Perfect for projects that demand accuracy and repeatability. Let's jump in. We'll start by designing one of the three main components. If you're already comfortable with CAD, feel free to skip ahead of the fabrication section. We're in the home screen for Fusion 360. We're going to go ahead and select our part in here. We're going to start off with a blank screen. The first thing you want to do is come up to Create Sketch. Whenever we create a sketch, you need to choose a plane. We're going to select the top plane. We're going to come up and create our first shape. We will start with a rectangle by coming over to the rectangle feature in the sketch palette. We'll select the center rectangle and then move the mouse over the origin point. That way, when we're starting a new shape, we can start exactly in the center. Click it and drag out to a rough shape and release. We are going to right-click out in space here and then select OK to close our rectangle command. We will now give our rectangle some dimensions to establish how big to make our rectangle. There's a couple of different ways to add dimensions, but just for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and just click on our line here and set it down. Since we already know that we want this to be 20 inches, we are going to go ahead and type that in and make the width 10 inches. Here is our first shape. So now that we're done setting dimensions, we will right-click and cancel out of the sketch dimensions. We will move on to our next feature. We will click on the circle command, roughly place it in the center of our plate, and type in the dimensions here. Now that our circle is in place, we can right-click and close it again. We're now going to give it dimensions to locate it on the plate. There's a couple of different ways to do this, but the simplest way is to go ahead and pick a line and then hover over the center of our circle, and it's going to snap that dimension exactly to the center. We will pick the other line and click to the center of the circle again, and it's going to snap to the center. We can now enter our dimension to place the circle exactly where it needs to be on the plate. We will again right-click to cancel out of this function. We will move on to our next feature, which is going to be an array of holes going around the outside. We're going to start by placing down the hole and giving it a size. These are going to be the holes for the lug nuts that will be going around the pattern here. To set up for the pattern, we will pick a line tool so that we can align both holes vertically. We're going to click the center of the small hole and then the center of the larger hole and click OK. Our line is going to show up in our pattern unless we make it into a construction line. We will go ahead and click on the line, come over to construction, and convert it into a dashed line. Now it will be for alignment and not part of the finished plate. We're going to add a link to the line to set the hole exactly where we want it to be. We will right-click and close. We're going to come over here and choose a circular pattern. This will make a pattern of holes that surround our larger circle. The first thing it's going to ask us is what we want to pattern. We will click on our smaller circle. It will then ask us for a center point. We will go to the center of our larger hole and snap to the center. Now we have our center point. It will then ask us how many holes we want in total. We will type in 5 and it will automatically calculate the angles for us. Our top feature is complete. We will go down to the bottom of our plate. We're going to make 4 more holes here at the bottom. We will give the circle dimension just by typing it in. There are faster ways to do this, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to do this one hole at a time by making a new hole, roughly placing it, and then typing in the dimensions. Now that we have our holes roughly placed, we're going to do our dimensioning again and place them exactly where they need to be. We're going to come up and select Sketch Dimension and start by clicking on the edge here and typing in the dimension, making sure that all of them are exactly where they need to be, left and right. We will now work on our placement top to bottom. You will notice that we don't have to click on the exact center of the hole. Fusion is actually smart enough. If we just click on the outside of the hole itself, it'll automatically snap to the center, making it a faster way of doing it. There are a number of ways to do most everything in Fusion. You'll find the way that makes it comfortable for you, and then speed will come later once you get more practice. All right, the bottom 4 holes are now in place. We will right-click again and close out of this function. So that's everything. Our sketch is done, and we can go ahead and click on Finish Sketch. Now we're going to add some depth to our part. We will do that by coming over to the Extrude button, which is going to add height to our plate. We will click in the center of our plate, and that's going to select everything. We will type in the height that we want for our part. This one is going to be 7/16. We can just type in 7/16, and there it is. Okay, we're going to export our sketch. We'll make sure our sketch is turned on to see roughly what it looks like. We will right-click on the sketch and then come down to Export DXF. This is actually going to let us turn our sketch directly into a DXF file. We will click on OK and make sure everything is correct. We will type in a name, make sure it's saved in the correct folder. We can now click Save. Since our bracket is made up of 3 different parts, we're going to go ahead and make our next part. This will be basically more of the same of what we did on the last plate. We'll add a new design. We're going to make a new sketch and select our top plane again. It's always good to start off with a rectangle shape. We'll click on the rectangle shape again and go with the center rectangle. We'll go to our origin point again and click and drag to give it a rough shape. Right-click and select OK. We'll go ahead and give it our sketch dimensions. Of course, everything has been pre-measured as we did in our design work, and we know exactly what size our part needs to be. We can just type in our dimensions here. Go ahead and close our dimensions. Next, we're going to add in a pattern of holes. We'll go back up to our hole command again and place the first one down, type in the dimension. We can go ahead and speed things up a little bit. Rather than dropping in one circle, one hole at a time, we're going to go ahead and just roughly put down a line of holes, not worrying about dimensioning them just yet. We're just roughly placing them in the spots where we want them to go. This way we don't have to go back and re-click the hole command over and over and over again. We can just set them all down. We can go ahead and close out of the circle command and then click dimension and dimension all of them at once. Again, there are many ways to create designs in Fusion. As you become more familiar with this program, you'll get faster and faster. After we're done giving each circle its size, we'll set the precise locations. We'll set our first holes in relation to the edge of our plate. We'll place everything on this row 1 inch from the edge. Now we can place each hole in relation to the sides and each other. Once we have one row, we can go up and choose a rectangle pattern to duplicate and place all of our other rows. We will select each of the holes in our top row and then select the direction that we will be duplicating them. We can click and drag our arrow to begin placing our additional rows. We can select how our rows are distributed. We'll select spacing and input the distance between each of our rows and the number of rows we require. Fusion does the rest. We click OK. We're almost done. To round our corners, we'll go up and choose Fillet. We can select each side we're working with and then simply input the curve radius. Once we have set our first radius, each corner will automatically populate the number we started with. We can now click Finish Sketch and extrude our plate to 7/16. Before we go any further, we need to go back to our first plate and round its corners like our bottom plate. We click its tab and turn on our sketch. We can choose Fillet and finish our corners as we have before. We right-click to exit and once again click Finish Sketch. We will export to DXF for both plates and save. There's a side gusset for this project. Although we won't be showing the design process on camera, we can take a look at it here. The design elements should be familiar to you after completing the 2 other plates. Alright, now we're over into SheetCAM. We exported our designs as DXF files so that we can bring them into SheetCAM to prepare them for cutting on the CrossFire XR. First, let's get each of our drawings open and placed. We'll start with the vertical plate. When you open a drawing in SheetCAM, there are a few options that you need to choose. Of course, we need to make sure we are working in inches as per our design. Next, we need to choose where we will start with our placement. If you would like to open the file in the center, you can leave this option as it is. We're going to set our 0 position in the lower right corner. We click the bottom right drawing position and hit OK. You will see the design open in the lower left corner, and we are ready to bring in the next design. This time we'll select the center bottom, click OK, and the base plate opens in the center bottom of the workspace. To rotate the design, you can use the quick keystrokes without having to go up to the nesting button. If you would like to use the nesting button, you'll find it here. SheetCAM offers a number of ways to nest your designs, including a new auto nesting feature. We will open the gusset, place it next to our other design, duplicate it, and rotate to nest neatly. We'll need to delete a few lines that have been in with the DXF files but are not actual cutting contours. We can click the Edit Contours button and choose each design and remove them by right-clicking the line and choosing Delete. It is now time to select our post-processor. We will click on Options and select Machines. Click on the Post-Processor tab. Here, you will have a list of post-processors from which we will choose FireControl to cut on the CrossFire XR. Click OK. Next, we'll right-click in the Parts box and choose Combine All Parts into One. Combining all parts into one in SheetCAM streamlines the workflow by allowing a single operation to apply to all nested items. From the Tools menu, we can choose our plasma cutter and cutting profiles for a 7/16 mild steel. Here we can make sure all of our cutting parameters are correct and set our lead-ins and lead-outs. We'll leave them as arc lead-in, which helps create smoother pierce points and cleaner edges. We will click OK. We will right-click in the Operations menu to bring up a dialog box where we can select Plasma Cut to pull up the Jet Cutting dialog box. Here we will confirm all of our earlier selections. Starting from the top, we will make sure the contour method is outside offset. We can see that the tool is set to Hypertherm 7/16 profile, and now we can click OK to create our cut paths. We will zoom in to verify our cut paths. It all looks good. Now we go up and click the Run Post-Processor button, which brings up File Explorer to save our G-code as a TAT file. We will give our file a name and click Save. SheetCAM will now process our file. When it's completed, we'll click OK, and our TAT file is ready to take to the CrossFire XR. With our material loaded on the XR, we start by importing the TAT file into FireControl. Next, we position the cut to maximize material usage. FireControl's visual layout shows white reference lines that indicate where the machine is positioned along the X and Y axes. This is a critical step to confirm accuracy and avoid wasted material. Before cutting, we always perform a dry run to verify the cutting envelope and motion. Everything looks good. Now we turn on the plasma cutter and let the XR bring this design to life. With the parts cut, we move over to our ArcFlat welding tables. One of the biggest advantages of the ArcFlat system is the wide range of available fixturing accessories. For this project, we're using squares, clamps, and magnetic blocks to ensure everything is straight, square, and locked into position. The modular fixture system makes it easy to tack components accurately and maintain a consistent alignment. something that's essential for suspension and chassis work. For an even more refined finish, these parts could be run through the Vulcan 16. That final step transforms them into something you'd be proud to display in your shop or even sell as a finished product. The combination of the CrossFire XR, ArcFlat, and Vulcan 16 results in a durable, professional-grade component built to last. Throughout this build, we'll be sharing the parts we create on FireShare. You're welcome to download them, modify them, and adapt them for your own projects. If you build something using these files, we'd love to see it. Share your work online so we can feature your project in future Langmuir System posts. Be sure to stay tuned for more Project Bronco episodes, where we will continue showing what's possible with Langmuir Systems machines. Thanks for watching.